dare you? Hey, you'll pay for this? What?
When Dragon Ball Fighterz was first announced back at last year's E3, fans of the series were understandably filled with excitement at the prospect of a new game based on the franchise created by Arc System Works, the team behind Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue. But does it live up to the hype? Let's find out. Dragon Ball Fighterz at its core is a 2D 3v3 competitive fighting game with a combat system that utilises 6 buttons for light, medium, heavy and special attacks, as well as 2 for assists. It's surprisingly simple to get to grips with, striking an almost perfect balance between catering to casual and veteran players of the fighting genre. There are 2 auto combos that will be a point of contention for some, but anyone with any relative skill can quickly put down a player that tries to abuse them. What is immediately noticeable when jumping into bouts is how great the visuals are, not being a far cry away from the anime series itself and easily the best any Dragon Ball game has looked to date. Arc System Works' attention to detail really shines through and should definitely be applauded. There are 24 characters in total, notably less than other games in the past, that on occasion sported close to the 100 mark, but in this case it's a very good amount when you consider the fact that each character is very unique from one another, having their own distinctive movesets. Outside of battles you aren't greeted by your traditional menu, instead you're placed in a social lobby with up to 63 others if you're online. It's here you have access to the various modes the game has to offer, ranging from practice, arcade, story and online, as you take control of a chibi form of one of the many Dragon Ball characters, with 54 in total to unlock. And I've unashamedly spent more time than I should probably admit making some absurd fusions by clipping my character into another, creating some hilarious results. When it comes to the story mode, Fighterz doesn't retread old ground, offering an entirely new story to delve into, featuring the return of Android 16, Cell and Frieza, as well as introducing brand new character Android 21, designed by Akira Toriyama himself, that acts as a central villain. Sadly, it's this mode where the majority of my criticism lies. Broken up into 3 arcs, you the player act as a soul that inhabits many of the key characters in the Dragon Ball universe, and with each arc you inhabit a new character and see the events pan out in different ways. Cutscenes are clean, sharp and true to the show, however characters can appear a little stiff at times, and the game constantly requires you to prompt the next line of dialogue, which can be a little jarring after a while. It would have been nice to have had an option that automatically did this for you.
Goku, I don't know what's going on, but you better kick this imposter's bionic butt! Hold the phone! You know how to fight, right? Wrong! This is turning out to be a bad day!
In between fights you move across board game like maps, very reminiscent of the ones that featured back in Budokai 2, choosing which path you want to take, fighting clones along the way that will offer rewards from acquiring different allies to join your team or skills that you can equip. The problem with this is that many of the encounters placed in each map are simply to pad out the story, that after the initial few hours quickly falls into tedium, not helped by the fact that bouts are painfully easy, not offering even the smallest of challenge until the remaining few fights of each arc. With that said, one redeeming quality of these fights is the potential to unlock small cutscenes between various characters, often in scenarios that would never happen in the anime.
I'm the fusion of Goten and Trunks! Duh! You already knew that, right?
That's not exactly what I meant. There is something very familiar about that face of yours. Yes, that face. I'm certain. One of you is the blood relative of that creep that cuts me in two.
One interesting detail I noticed about the dub lip syncing is how much better it is in the story cutscenes compared to the battle intros and victory endings, being notably off sync at times that, although not a big issue, was a little shame to see. Thankfully you can opt for the Japanese voices that don't have this problem.
You're the first person to kick dust on me since my father.
Overall you can expect to get around 12 to 15 hours from the 3 arcs, but due to the large amount of that time being padding, it would have benefited greatly by reducing that to 7 to 8 hours, removing the majority of the repetition and therefore being much more enjoyable. In total contrast to story mode is arcade, where you'll find plenty of challenge to keep you occupied. Arcade doesn't encourage you to just simply win matches to progress, but also do so in as fast a time as you can with as little damage taken as possible. The higher the rank you score each match, the more likely you are to move up the ladder, with the opposite happening if you lose or perform poorly. Especially in the case of the hard mode courses, it can be extremely punishing, but also rewarding if you dedicate enough time to beating them. For many it will be the online that will keep you gripped, offering expected options like casual as well as ranked matches where you earn BP based on your wins to achieve new ranks, with both working pretty well, but there are a few other ways you can test your skills against others. If you want to play with those in the same lobby as you have 2 choices. You can opt to join an arena match, which does often require a bit of luck to find others that are also trying to do the same, or you can start a ring match. Ring matches are the way in which you'll play with friends, although it's not the most ideal of options, requiring you to coordinate and join the exact same lobby beforehand rather than simply inviting them, which would have been a far easier, more practical solution. When in an online match, for the majority of cases the connection was fairly solid and there was no noticeable delay from what I could tell. However, there are currently issues attempting to join certain matches, but I expect that to be fixed in the coming weeks. Lastly, there are plenty of unlockables that you'll get in the form of loot boxes under the name of Z capsules. In a breath of fresh air, these could be purchased with in-game currency only and contain purely cosmetic items such as the aforementioned lobby characters, alternate colour palettes, titles and Z stamps. I'm usually against the implementation of loot boxes, but in this case they are perfectly reasonable, well done and easy to unlock. Ultimately, after spending plenty of time playing through all Dragon Ball Fighterz has to offer, I can safely say it's not only a fantastic Dragon Ball game, but also a very solid fighting game, being an absolute time engrossing joy to play. The story mode may be a slog at times and the online may be a little cumbersome, but none of that really takes away from the end experience, offering visuals that are absolutely unrivaled compared to any other Dragon Ball game to date, and gameplay that's not only easy to jump into for casuals, but plenty deep enough for veterans to take advantage of. I can't wait to see how the Fighterz series evolves in the future, as it's off to a pretty great start so far. That's it for this review. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content just like this. Click the thumbnail on the left or right for another of my videos. Thanks for watching as usual, and I'll see you on the next video.